怪盗国光参上です。
Hello, my name is Fergus. I'm a double Tekken World Tour finalist. I am from Ireland and I'm here to show you Kunimitsu. Before we start, be sure to subscribe to DashFight for more character guides and check out their website for all things FGC.
その武器興味あります。
So let's get into our moveset. Now, Kunimitsu has a lot of really good moves, but let's just talk about Slip View. So let's start with her jabs. So her jabs, for example, so it has a bunch of follow-ups. So the jab itself has a really low hitbox, so it's very difficult to crush under for a lot of characters. So the jab itself is good range and is a good hitbox. Now, what's strong about the jab is that it has follow-ups. So you have 1-1, which is only -5, and even then it still has a bunch of follow-ups. So 1-1-4, which is a little bit gimmicky, but if they're respecting you, you can go for it. Or you can do 1-1-2, which is a safe unblock option. So the good thing about this string is that if they press after the jab, the second hit into third hit is actually a natural combo on counter hit. Now they can step it, so if you want to go a bit more riskier, you can do stuff like 1-1 into Katon. So when they start like stepping around this move, you can go into the stance instead and go for the low from the stance, which is the 4, or go for the mid, which you can hit confirm. So you can hit confirm this into the follow-up. So that's a really strong skill to have. So that's like kind of the main use of the Katon stance, and one of the transitions of that is from the 1-1 string. Now let's talk about her downward one. Her downward one is also, like her jab, quite strong, really good hitbox, and it's also good because, again, like her jab, it has really good extension. So her downward 1-3, which is natural on counter hit, and the last hit is a counter hit launcher, and it's natural on counter. Her downward 1-2-2. So if they start looking to duck the high or to press buttons after the downward one, you can start hitting them with this. So this second hit into the third hit is a natural combo, and the whole string from the initial downward one is all counter confrontable. So you can see that's a really strong downward one with really good follow-ups. So you use the mental frame advantage of the follow-ups and bully them with. Next move I want to talk about is down for 4. No, I won't spend too long on this. It's just your 12 frame down for 4 mid poke. You know, like, it's good for keep outs, good for range, it's good to check things in certain situations. So down for 4 is going to be one of your bigger pokes to use. Another move, now this is like the Kuni move to use. So 2-2. Now what's so good about 2-2 is that the first 2 hits are natural combo. It tracks really well. It's a high mid, so it's hard to like duck under it, because obviously you get hit by the mids if you try to duck. It's 12 frame, tracks both ways, it's a high mid. It's pretty insane. And when you try to take your turn after the 2-2, she has 2-2 to 2-2-2-2, which is a natural combo on counter hit, and then you have 2-2 into the stance. Same mind game as the Katon stance, right? From the jab string. So it's a similar mind game, and you can do 2-2 into set, although it's not as useful as the Katon transition. So this is crazy good. So 2-2, definitely abuse it. It's going to be one of your most abused moves. I'm talking about abusable moves. Downward 3+4 is also another one. Now this move is very chunky. It does 30 damage. You can go into front facing, or you can go into back turn. This would be one of Kuni's main ways to enter back turn. I'll talk about back turn game in the next section in more detail, but just know you're going to use this move a lot. It high crushes as well, and you know, it's only managed to unblock as well, so it's a really strong move to use in general. Definitely use it with Kunimitsu. Now let's talk about her lows a little bit. So her Denmark 3-3. Now Kuni's lows in neutral standing is not that great. So you're going to be reliant on like back turn mix-ups and crouching mix-ups. So in neutral, her standing lows are not that good, but they do the job for what kind of character she is. So you have Denmark 4, which is 17 frames, 0 hit. On counter hit, it gives you a little bit +8 on counter hit, right? In crouching as well. Another thing you can do is Denmark 3-3, which is you know, it's not great. It's 15 damage, it's minus on hit. If they try to take the turn, you can do the while standing 4. But again, it's not amazing, but it's what you have to work with. So Denmark 3 and Denmark 4 are some low pokes you can use. Another move you want to use is QCF1+2. QCF1+2 is kind of crazy because It's safe on block. It's a mid. It has a lot of range and has really good tracking. And the wall splats, as you can see. So it's a really good move to use. Just you can kind of just throw it, like especially if there's a wall nearby, you kind of just chuckle out. It's kind of hard to stop it, to be honest. So yeah, definitely a must-use move. Now let's talk about her set stance a little bit. Now her set stance is done by doing 4-3. Now 4-3, you have a bunch of options out of it. You have set 4-3, which is just combo filler. So don't worry about that too much. The main moves you want to use at a set stance is set 2. Now set 2 is strong because it's a fast mid out of the set stance. So you can see that the set itself covers a lot of distance, so it's very good to approach the opponent with. So you want to make them scared to press buttons against her in neutral because of set 2. Because set 2 is a full counter launcher, right? So you want to make them scared to press buttons against the set 2. So you approach with set, and then you go into crouch, and then you have access to a crouching game, which I'll talk about in a moment. So yeah, definitely must use move for Kuni. And to kind of complement set 2, you have set 3, although I don't recommend using it too much because it is launch punishable on block, so it's very risky. And it's not that good on hit anyway because you're in neutral and you're both in crouch, so the situation's a bit awkward. So it is there. I just wouldn't recommend using it too much, but it is there. If you want to scare them, you can do the empty set into pressure, right? Now let's talk about her crouching game. Now you condition it with the empty set stance, or you just duck in their face randomly. What can you do? What can you do from the crouching? So the main low, the main scary low is FC down for 3 into 4-4-2. As you can see, it's a pretty chunky follow up, 39 damage into a really good Oki situation. If you do empty set afterwards, you'll be in their face in back turn if they tech roll. As you can see, for example, now at the wall, you get even a beefier follow up. So you get crouch cancel back 3-4. So you can see that's guaranteed. It's really beefy. It does a lot of damage. So yeah, Kuni's crouching game is quite scary. Now to complement FC down for 3, you have stuff like while standing 1-1, and you have stuff. So this is safe on block. You have to Sabaki in between. So if the other character doesn't have a parry or Sabaki, this is extremely abusable. Even if they do have one, you can still bait ledge by just doing the first hit. But it is safe on block. As you can see, it is safe on block. If you want to get a bit riskier, you can do stuff like while standing 3 from crouching as a mid launcher. It is unsafe on block, but if you have to read that they will duck because of the low, then you should do while standing 3. So yeah, that kind of covers. Now there's more moves that she has that's strong, but those are the main moves, and I don't want to waffle on too long. So yeah, those are the main moves you want to use with Kuni in neutral. So let's talk about Kunimitsu's back turn game, which is where she's going to get a lot of her damage and a lot of her mix-ups. So her back turn game is strong because she has good transitions to go into back turn. Now she has, in her moveset, she has like quite a few transitions that goes into back turn. But I'm going to talk about 2 in specific that are really strong in my opinion. So let's go over those 2. So the first one is 4-2. 4-2 is her 12 frame punisher. You can use it as a block punisher, which I highly recommend. You can use it as a whip punisher, or you can use it as a tracking move, because it tracks in both directions really well. It's a natural combo. It's safe on block, so you can hold back to block afterwards, and it jails. Even though it says it's a double high, it jails on block. So when you block the first hit, you cannot duck the second. So it's a pretty strong move. The second move that you want to use is what I mentioned already. It's down for 3+4. It high crushes. It's a very chunky mid. You hold back to go into back turn. It's safe on block. It's only -2 on block, so it's a really good option to go into back turn. Okay, so let's say you hit one of those moves and you're in back turn. What are your options? So the main options that you have include stuff like back turn grabs. So if you do 1+4 in back turn, you get a 1+2 break animation. So and what you use to mix that up with is her back turn generic grabs. So as you can see, when she goes into back turn, the limbs are exactly the same, right? So there is no difference in the limbs in the animation, so you have to hard guess on the break. Is it 1+2 or is it generic break? So that can really make your opponent duck. And another way that you can make your opponent duck is with back turn den 2. Back turn den 2 is only minus 13 on block. You cannot low parry it because it's a weapon. She used her kunai, so it's a weapon. You cannot low parry. So those two are how you're going to make your opponent duck. The back turn grabs and the back turn low is how you're going to make your opponent duck. Now, what do you do as your mid options? So 4-2. So you can do back turn 1+2, which is like crazy good because it frame traps from down for 3+4 and from 4-2. So it actually frame traps. That means that your opponents cannot press against it, and because it's a mid, they cannot duck against it, and at this frame advantage, they cannot step against the 1+2. So this is a really strong mid check, and it's only -2 on block as well. So you can still backdash, you can still move away, you can still interrupt them, you can still pressure afterwards if you want to. So it's a really strong mid check. The back turn 1+2 afterwards. Now, if you're feeling riskier and you want to get more rewards out of your read, you can go for a back turn 4-1+2, which is a launcher. So you get like a full combo starter out of that. So back turn, so those mid options are the main ones that you want to use to stop them from ducking. And when they finally stop ducking, you can start grabbing them up, or you can start lowing them up, or if you want to be a bit safer, you can go for generic down 3, for example. And what's good about generic down 3 from back turn is +3. It puts Kuni in crouching, and you know you can frame trap it while standing 1-1, or you can go for the sweep, which tracks really well. And you know, you go into your crouching game that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's kind of like Kuni's back turn mix up in a nutshell. Definitely learn how to use it well, because it's gonna be where you're gonna get a lot of your mix up. So now let's talk about the strengths and the weaknesses of the character. Now overall, she's a very strong character with clear strengths and some weaknesses. So let's talk about her strengths real quick. So as you can see with her combos that I showed earlier, her damage and her carry is very high. On almost all the stages in the game, she can go from wall to wall. So she's really good combos and very flexible combos as well. As you can see that I showed earlier, her poking game and her tracking is quite strong. So 2-2, down for 1, jab, they'll have amazing hitboxes and amazing tracking as well at the same time. So like her basic games is super good. Her small Tekken is super good. She has a really good approach with the set stance. So if you can approach them with 4-3 into set stance, so she can close the gap quite easily compared to a lot of characters. So her approach game is also pretty good. Like I said earlier, her crouching game is really deadly. Like, because the low itself, it tracks really well, it has a lot of range, so it's really hard to escape, so they kind of have to hard block it in a lot of situations. And along with her crouching game, her back turn game is also quite good. So the mix-up game is pretty deadly from the back turn game. And she also has one of the best backdashes in the game, like tied up with Safina and Alisa. So her backdash is super good, so she can escape a lot of situations that a lot of characters have to hold and they have to respect, but Kuni can actually escape and get away from that. So her backdash is quite good. Now that's all of her strengths, but what is she weak at? What are her weaknesses? So for example, her lows outside of her stances and her back turn game is a bit weak. So den back 4, den back 3, den 4, like they're okay, they're decent-ish, but they're not enough damage, right? They don't do enough damage. So that's why she kind of has to take a little bit of risk in her mix-up game in terms of her crouching game and in terms of her back turn game. So she has to take some risks to get like traditional mid-low mix-up on the opponent in a rewarding sense, because the lows that she has at neutral are not that rewarding. However, overall though, she is a very strong character and she is quite easy to play. She has some weird things to get used to, but she is quite easy to play and she's overall very strong character. So if you enjoy Kunimitsu and you want to play her, go for it. You can also check out all the things shown in this video in the text version via the link in the description. If you like this video, please leave a like or comment below with your thoughts, and thank you for watching.